Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ball and Breakfast podcast. I'm Patrick Miller alongside Wayne Pua. We are, through the weekend, we had a fun interview with Stefano Montali. He's a journalist and producer based in Berlin. If you did not see any of the reels that we had put together or, the episodes itself, whether in audio or video, go to Instagram and check it out, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube for video. We're all over the place. Subscribe to our stuff, comment, like, and also check out Stefano's website at stefanomontali.com, as well as some of his recent articles, which we've put online for you to check out too. He's really doing some great stuff abroad, and we were just happy to have him. Wayne, did you have any just thoughts from the weekend session with Stefano overall?
I mean, I think it's just great. He seems like a very a well-traveled person, but also very eclectic, thoughts, just all the different perspectives he's amounted, I think, in his career. So very fun, interesting person to chat with. And glad we were able to do that. And hope you all enjoyed that. Would love to hear if there's any suggestions from people that you think that we got to be reaching out to or talking with. But we're looking forward to maybe having some other people on here. So if you have any suggestions, or if you yourself want to talk, hey, shoot us a message. Happy to chat with you about what we can talk about.
Yeah, definitely. With that, in the rear view now, we're going to move right back into sports the way we traditionally do it on this show. We're going to kick it off with the World Series coming up this Friday. We have the Houston Astros representing the American League, and the Philadelphia Phillies actually pulling it out and winning the pennant in the NL. They'll be in the World Series as well on the road to start. But Wayne, did you have any predictions or perhaps thoughts from the championship series for either team as we kind of move closer to crowning a champion and being done with baseball for 2022?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think in terms of a winner for the World Series, I got to pick with the Phillies actually on this. They have some mojo. They have a song too, so it's hard to, they got "Dancing on My Own," which is a cover. So with Caleb Scott and Tiesto, that version I think is what they've been playing. The cover from Robin's original version. I did not know this, but Caleb Scott apparently won. I think was it British. That the British, whatever Simon Cowell's on these days and all that. I think Britain's Got Talent. So, and then use the cover from Robin in order to do that. So because of the Phillies and because all this, that's literally what I've been playing for the past several days as I anticipate the World Series going forward. So, I think their bullpen has been, that was my biggest doubt going into the playoffs for them. I knew that they had the hitting, but their pitching has showed up. Every player has kind of contributed in that sense. And, with a couple of days rest and everything for the starting pitching and the staff, I feel like, they're two-headed monster in the top of the rotation with Wheeler and Nola. Like those two will be great, I think, heading into the playoffs and obviously, or in the World Series. And obviously, they're going to be going against Justin Verlander and all the pitchers that they have, so it's and they've been pitching really well, but I feel like there's just so much momentum, I think, riding with the Phillies. It's just hard to stop. Even though the Astros look really good and have been playing dominant baseball, I think, all playoffs. But all right, enough of me. Can you tell me I'm crazy or, just because I'm listening to the song, or do you think the Astros will take this?
I don't think you're crazy. You'd be crazy if we were, walking into the prediction episode and you just pick the Phillies out of nowhere to go all the way, because at the beginning of all this, I think we were a little bit more bearish on the team itself. I mean, not to count them out, before it happened, because I think we were kind of in a devil's advocate scenario against the Cardinals. This team has two really nice, starting pitchers to kick it off. They've got a pretty veteran offensive squad. It just kind of comes down to that bullpen. And surprisingly enough, that bullpen's done, pretty great job to this point. I mean, you have, Alvarado, the lefty in the pen, just a flamethrower. Sir Anthony Dominguez, besides, game 5 and, some of the wetness that was coming out of the ball and, the wild pitches, has been pretty lights out. And then, David Robertson's just, a true veteran back there, getting up there in age and kind of took some time away from baseball and in America to, either he took like a hiatus of retirement, or I think he might have even gone overseas for a little bit, but he's back. He looks pretty good. It's just kind of like now that they've, gotten into a groove, they've, built up this momentum. They're, pulling out all the stops in all these games, like big comeback, victories and stuff. It's like, it's a ton of fun and they're in the zone right now. All that being said, man, I'm going with the Astros. I hate the Astros. Let me put that out there. I hate the Astros. I don't want anything good coming to that squad. I mean, I do have a soft spot for Dusty Baker because, that guy's been in, big series after big series throughout his career, whether it's been in the World Series or Championship Series or playoffs or whatever, and he's always come up short. So the silver lining in all this is if the Astros do, happen to win, you get Dusty a ring, and I think that would be just an amazing thing for him at this stage of his managerial career. He deserves it for sure. But outside of that, I don't know. It's just they haven't lost. They haven't lost in the playoffs yet. So the Phillies have been just as almost just as dominant. It's just kind of like, man, I just this team doesn't have holes, and maybe it's this idea of like if the Phillies look themselves in the mirrors and they say, we don't know if we'll be back next year. We don't know if we'll be back the year after that. So like, this is it. It's now or never. Maybe that kind of inspiration, helps pull that out, pull out the whole series. Astros has been there for this is their fourth time in 6 years being in it. Maybe it seemed like that, like the Atlanta Braves, like the Cleveland Indians of the 90s. It's like they show up, they've been there enough so they know what it's about. They can get there. But, when it comes time to just like getting over the hump, it's like extra hard for a team like that to just, put the nail in the coffin. But I think this is the year. It's very boring. I love their offense. Their starting pitch has no holes, and their bullpen is pretty much one of the best in the big leagues. They got a great manager, got a lot of veterans, and they've just been winning every game since they've gotten in, and they had one of the best records in the league. And I know we talked about stats and all this other stuff, advanced stuff. Like, none of this stuff really does matter, but at the end of the day, I'm just looking at the talent and their own streak that they've been on too. And I'm gonna have to side with Houston in this one.
Yeah, could you imagine? So yeah, if they go the complete playoffs and World Series without losing, like, are they like the greatest team ever or something? Like, we talked about it. I think like the 05 White Sox, where they only lost one game, and it's like that squad never gets enough credit. We always feel like because that starting pitching squad, like they had those back-to-backs with like complete games and everything, and it's like the way that obviously that's probably not going to happen, just the nature of the beasts of today's game, right? But like with the Astros and what they've been able to do, like going against the Yankees and taking them out, like sweeping them, and then also the Mariners, it's like how can we not give them some credit to as like one of the best playoff teams possibly out there? Is that too much to say, you think, or what?
It depends on what they do. Do I see this being a 4-game sweep? Man, not offhand, but would I be completely shocked? No. I'm kind of leaning more toward I might go back to my 5 games and call it 5 for me. But again, that's just a prediction. I don't think that's like what I think. I don't know what the odds makers are doing for this series, but what do you think? Like initial gut reaction of series and game length and all that stuff.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. I think they're gonna the Astros have always been like a very analytical team, and I think that's where even though the Phillies with batting like Kyle Schwarber at leadoff, like that's very much like the modern day analytics of like we don't care about speed or whatever. Does he get on base and can he score some runs or whatever, or drive in some runs, like kind of like how the Yankees did with Aaron Judge, kind of batting leadoff for a little bit there, right? So they're very much kind of like advanced in that. So this is almost like 2 squads that take data and analytics like kind of seriously in that sense. But I think it is great that Dusty Baker's kind of embraced that. Like he was always kind of like that player's coach. is notable to have like what Mark Pryor in the 8th inning and everything there. So very much kind of going against the grain with regards to, what would be today like modern day analytics and pitching and pitch counts and stuff. So, for me at least, it's like that left-handed hitting, I think, for the Phillies is what stands out with Schwarber, and then also with Bryce Harper, who's having like one of the best like playoffs that anybody could possibly imagine. Having that go-ahead homer, in the last series and everything, like that was such a clutch moment. And I think riding all that momentum, and there's also like one thing of like teams that really don't go through as much of that struggle. I feel like it's like once they hit that bit of adversity against like a really hot team like the Phillies, like they don't necessarily know what to do or how to react, or they're just not used to it mentally or within the game of baseball. So, and that's where I see it's like the Phillies, they've been battling it out, and they've been taking out teams. So that's where I'm like, I feel like they just have a lot of for lack of a better term, swag for them, and I guess it's like, wait, do I like Bryce Harper now? I think that's what I'm kind of dealing with. He's definitely kind of had an up and down career, and came in like as a kind of a cocky person when he was with the Nationals and everything, and now it's like, oh, he seems like he's mellowed out, and like his enthusiasm has really just turned to like excitement, I think, for the game, and I'm all for that. So I think that's my biggest thing is like the left-handed hitting for the Phillies going against the kind of predominantly right-handed squad or pitching staff for the Astros and the bullpen too. So that's kind of where I'm thinking at, and just the timeliness of the Phillies overall with their bullpen. That's just been, they've really showed up there, and I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think with the Astros and their hitting, they've had their up and downs, but obviously they've had more ups than downs. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, number one with the pitching staff, you're right. Framber Valdez is the only lefty on the Astros active roster that can, go out there. I don't know. I mean, he was such a good starting pitcher that I'm sure they're lining him up for one of the first couple of games of the series, maybe after Verlander. But, you're right. If Harper and Schwarber and, some of those other lefties, just start to, get hot again in this, World Series, could be kind of tough to put them away if you're only, bringing out righties, as dominant or as good as they have been throughout the regular season, postseason, et cetera. It's just, it's an advantage that I think the Phillies might have, somewhat. But I guess overall, when I think about this series, it reminds me of 2007. The Colorado Rockies won a 1-game playoff against the Padres and then rolled through the division series and the championship series. I don't think they lost a game. I think they swept their entire way through, and they had to wait a full week to wait for the Boston Red Sox, and they believe it was the Yankees at the time going at it for the American League Championship Series. And the Red Sox were playing that entire week while the Rockies were on ice. And by the time they got to the World Series, I think it was Red Sox in 4, maybe. It might have been a full sweep. But this reminds me a little bit about that. I mean, I know both teams are taking this break now to, take almost like a full week for, the fact that these championship series wrapped up so quick that, the Astros have gotten a bye in that first round, so they know what it's like to just be waiting. I don't know if the Phillies have felt that experience yet of just being like, we're bringing all of our momentum every single night to the next day and, stringing these wins together and whatnot. And, I think that's one thing. But the other part is the Astros have faced a bit of adversity going through the first couple rounds. I mean, the first game of the entire playoffs for them, hosting the Mariners, they fell pretty deep into a hole. And, as we remember, Bregman had a big 2-run home run and Jordan had the walk-off. I believe the next night, Jordan got him, from behind back into, the lead in game 2. And then, they played that long, I want to say 18-inning game out on the road in Seattle and, pulled that one off. And I believe there are 2 games in the championship series where the Astros were trailing and again, found their way back in and, game 4, Jeremy Pena at the 3-run home run to get them back in the game. So, man, I don't know. It's just like, the Phillies, they don't look like they can be stopped. But then I just looked over at the Astros side of things and I'm like, they haven't been as like, bubbly. They haven't been as like, surprising. It hasn't been as like, captivating in a lot of ways because it's the Houston Astros. They've just been there, but it's just like it's just been by the book. They've just been ready and been doing their jobs.
Yeah. I just like the Phillies attitude. I don't know what it is. And I've never liked the Phillies really. So this is kind of new to me. Like, even though like one of my favorite pitchers is like Roy Halladay, right? So like I definitely cheered, I think, when he was with them, but yeah, other than that, it was like, okay, I guess the Phillies, with the Rollins squad and everything, Ryan Howard, Utley, but then this team though, for whatever reason, they just have some moxie, and I'm all for it. Alec Boehm too. Like there was that whole situation, right, where the fans, they're like kind of booing him a little bit, and he kind of was like, I hate this place or something, and they're like, oh, we'll cheer for you now or whatever because you were honest with us, and everything, and I think that's like what Philly fans appreciate. So I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of like things, maybe more on the sentimental side. Like I feel like the baseball gods are for them, and that's where I'm like, man, if there's any good juju out there from the baseball perspective, it's like not the Astros, please. Like,
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I'm all for the Phils, and like you, I'm also not like a huge fan. Like I don't know if that's an NL thing. I usually root for the AL team just because that's our league, and I always root for them in all-star games and stuff. But yeah, there is a lot of players to like on that team. I think there's a lot of guys that deserve a title, deserve a chance to, compete for a World Series. I mean, Bryce definitely comes to mind. I mean, I didn't necessarily like him out of the gate in his career. I just kind of thought he was cocky and this and that, and seen a couple of games in Washington with him. But, in general, he seems like he's really evolved and, matured, and he's stepping out as a true leader in that clubhouse. He just seems like a genuinely good guy these days. So like, if he can do it, if he can get over the hump and, get a title and, not have to live in, all sorts of regret for leaving Washington after, 2018, that'd be great for him.
Yeah. It just seems like they're having a lot of fun. I mean, who isn't having fun? I think the Astros are having fun too, but it just seems like they're having a lot of awesome fun. And, that's where I'll be cheering in this World Series, for the Phillies, I think, in this case. So, I feel like there ought to be like a bet going on here or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I was thinking. I was thinking a shot of some kind, and maybe on the set, maybe a special Chicago liquor that we both despise. I don't know. What do you think, Wayne?
Well, like Malort or something. Malort? Like, I don't know.
You want to do Malort?
You can do some Malort. Yeah. Whoever is it, the winner gets the more. I don't know. Yeah. The loser gets more, right? So something like that.
Yeah, I think the loser, a shot of Malort for the loser would be good. What do you think? Are we putting this on the board?
Yeah, let's put it on the board. Yeah, whoever. Then I have to figure out what to do with the rest of the Malort. But yeah, figure. Let's whoever's team loses, then the person has to get a shot of Malort. So Astros, when they lose, you'll have to take a shot of Malort.
That sounds good. I've got some Dutch apple pie left to chase it with, so that'll be good. But what is your just before we close on this? What is your prediction for the games and how you think the series is going to go? I just want to hear.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking it's probably going to go 6 games is what I anticipate. It's going to be, I think, a battle, but with the starting pitching for the Phillies, they just, in my opinion, like, yeah, they don't necessarily have the depth as in terms of their pitching as the Astros. So it's going to be, I think, kind of a battle or kind of a struggle for like with the bullpen side. So, game 3, game 4, game 5, maybe that's definitely where I feel like it's going to be much more of, maybe 4 or 5 innings, if that, from the starting pitching. And then hopefully then the Phillies like bullpen can take it from there. So I'm anticipating though, 6 games, and probably what I want Harper to win the World Series MVP. Maybe I like, honestly, like, he seems like he's earned it, kind of went through that whole like character arc, maybe as like a, fan of like some sort of, baseball mythology or whatever. I think that could be great for him. Or Schwarber, I think could be a good one. Or, hey, honestly though, if the Phillies are probably going to win the series, it's probably have to be their pitching that steps up. So, maybe Wheeler or Noah step up and just pitch out like lights out. So, but yeah, anticipating that, and probably going to see a good showing too from Verlander. So I don't know if the first game, which I'm thinking he's probably slated for, I'm not sure if if the Phillies are going to be able to win that, but I'm thinking for the rest, they'll be able to kind of split and then eventually close it out in Philly, which I think will be wild. And I want to hear that song and with like all that ecstasy happening, I feel like going around. So yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, we'll see where this goes. We got about a week and a half to figure out how the dust will settle here. I have time to ship Wayne some Malort, and we'll see it from there. But anyways, moving on. Next subject, we've got basketball. NBA is back. It's a few games in so far to this season, but in good spirits and how we've done for the other major professional sports. We wanted to put together a preview and predictions segment here. We have the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, obviously. Wayne and I have both split those up. I'm going to take the East. Wayne will take the West, and we'll both react to what we're saying. And we'll round this out with awards and a champion, representing both leagues. So without further ado, perhaps I'll just kick it off with the Eastern Conference. I think what I'm going to do is work my way up from the play-in tournament up to number one. I listed out 10 teams that I think, will make up the playoffs for the Eastern Conference. And, I seeded it all the way down to the last team in the league, but, I'll just go from 10 up. So I think number 10 for me is the New York Knicks. I think bringing over Jalen Brunson to be, paired up with, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and a team that's, pretty well coached with Tom Thibodeau. Got some exciting young depth off the bench with Quickly, Grimes. You got Derrick Rose still around, Toppin. I think it's a well balanced, good grinding type depth team that will win enough games throughout the year to get their record to a respectable level, given how competitive I think the East will be this year. So I'll just start there. For number 9, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know this may sound like a shocker because they just brought over the Spider and everyone's like, real excited about it and this and that. And, I think their starting lineup is really nice. I think Darius Garland with, Spida, and then you have, you've got, Jared Allen, you've got, their key power forward. I'm, dropping names, Wayne, if you know
Mobley.
the name.
Evan
Mobley.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley, and Isaac Okoro as well, kind of rounding out that 5. I feel like right after that, I get a little bit nervous. I think I might have talked about this earlier on with, defense, how that's going to work with 2 very small, guards, and then just kind of looking at the bench depth. I don't get very excited about what else they can bring off the bench. I mean, they traded a lot of their depth to the Jazz, to bring over Donovan Mitchell. So, with that, I think a good team with some good, future ahead, but I think they're just going to need to take maybe an extra season to really build the depth that they need to be a true, Eastern Conference contender. At number 8, I put the Miami Heat. I think that, we talked to Stefano and, a lot of excitement was out there about, their chances this year, but just from a organizational standpoint, to lose PJ Tucker, to not really do a whole lot in the offseason. Oladipo is back, and injured. Tyler Hero's having to step up now and playing shooting guard. I just feel like they're going in with a little less depth. You got another year on Kyle Lowry, Jimmy. I think Bam's still in his prime, but it's like, I just don't know how good this team can be, with maybe a little less depth and then a little less star power at the top. I feel like, after the play-in tournament, their team has kind of slowly started to descend. Not to say that they're a bad team or to say that they're not, still going to be, well above 500. I just get a little skeptical about their upside. And to round off the playoff tournament, we can stop there. I got number 7, our Chicago Bulls. Obviously no disrespect, to what I think they have on paper. I think I get a little nervous in how this team's going to stay together for 82 games. Definitely don't like Lonzo Ball starting off injured. Levine has been out so far. I like the bench depth. I like bringing over Drummond and Dragic, and AO I think is a great candidate for a guy who can take a major leap in a kind of like a most improved or sixth man capacity. Don't really know what we're going to do with Kobe White throughout the year, so that gives me a little bit of pause whether or not a trade is coming or something of the sort, or if he can find a true role behind Caruso and AO. So like what they have, but just kind of chilling my expectations out, because I can't really see them usurping any of the top six that I have here on my board. But let me stop there. And Wayne, do you have any thoughts on the 7 to 10 seeds?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against them, I feel like, with the Cavs. I definitely agree with regards to it. It's definitely a wings league, and it's great that they have, Mobley, who's kind of like that 4 or 5 tweener spot, and Jared Allen. Like they had success last year, and obviously with Mitchell, who he definitely has that length in order to like steal balls and everything, but yeah, he's not a wing, so that's just what they've always been. What's kind of just hurt them, I think, when they go against like a team like the Celtics, right? It's like they just get obliterated basically because of that. So it's hard to kind of go against that. But I feel like, yeah, with Mitchell, it's great that they have a player like that. I think that can help them, advance a little bit. But yeah, like you were saying, it's probably gonna take a year or two for them to gel. They're just really young, and even with a player like Mitchell, it's like, yeah, I feel like they still need to maybe add a couple pieces, a couple wings, some 3-and-Ds or something like that to kind of take the next level there. With the Bulls, for sure, like it's hard to say. Almost similar, like if Patrick we've always been saying this about Patrick Williams, and I've been biggest fan, critic, love-hate relationship. It might be toxic, who knows? But yeah, it's if he can just like come up to like, I don't know, even like 60-70% of his potential, like I feel like we've been kind of swimming in like 40% of his potential, right? Then yeah, they can certainly be a formidable roster, I think, going forth. If hey, it is unfortunate, I think, with Kobe White, that it sounds like he has, with Alex Caruso, eventually Lonzo Ball whenever he gets healthy, and then Ayo, who's taken the next step, he's starting and everything now. So it just feels like with Kobe White, like unless he grows like 3-4 inches or his arms increase that much, the next couple in this next coming years and everything, then it just seems like he's just doesn't fit the squad. So hey, maybe they are able to trade him or get some assets so that they can get a wing or two that to complement kind of what's being built around with like Patrick Williams and DeMar and Levine and Vucevic. So that's my quick take on that. But yeah, it is hard to, I think, cheer for, I think, those squads.
Gotcha. Moving my way up from 6 to 1, I'm going to go with the Toronto Raptors at 6. I really like this team. I like, where they, go 1 from 5. I think they have some, solid bench pieces with Cruz Boucher and Precious Chua off the bench. I think that's a solid 7 there. You got Fred VanVleet still. You got Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. Says he's one of the top 10 players in this league. I think he's putting up some pretty good numbers to start. And Gary Trent Jr. Can also just ball out. So it's just like I like where this team is going. They're moving forward in a positive way. I mean, I think Scotty Barnes can only get better. I think that Siakam can get better. I think that Trent Jr. can definitely get better. I think they're at the right age where they can take, a step together. I still think that, looking at the landscape of the East, they're nipping at heels of some of the, those have held higher spots before, but in the same sense, I don't think they're too far away and definitely capable of an upset, in any one of these first round matchups. So that's my number 6. Number 5, they've gotten off to a rough start, but I still like what's on, paper there in Philadelphia, with Embiid and Harden, kind of, a renewed focus, a chance to wipe the slate clean and, kind of start anew. I think the defense is a little bit clunky. I think that's what, a lot of analysts have been talking about with Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. I still think, great talents and, if those are your 3-4 options on a championship team, I think that's pretty sound. I just think they need to get Thibault in the mix a little bit at small forward. I think that PJ Tucker's got to play a very integral role on the defensive side of things, and also a guy that like we were talking about, just pop out for a 3, bringing over that veteran experience. I think that's going to be super important for them. But they got Niang off the bench. I just think they've got some guys that have been there, in playoff series before. Shake Milton still. It's kind of like this is a good team, and I think they're definitely worthy of the 5 seed. Number 4, I've got Brooklyn. Who knows? I don't know. I love the roster talent. Again, you can't KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons. You got Nick Claxton, Joe Harris. You got TJ Warren not in. You got Seth Curry not available just yet. It's just like they've got a lot of depth and they got a lot of talent, and it's now or never. This is it. This is maybe the final and only year that this team will be what it is. But if they give even 75% of what they can, they're easily capable of being in the upper half of the Eastern Conference. It's just like it's such a mixed bag that's just hard for me to put a stamp on that's going to be the 1 seed, which I think deep down I'd say they probably should be, but in the same sense, they've got to earn it, they've got to prove it. So we'll see. My dark horse at number 3, maybe a little bit different, but I've got the Atlanta Hawks. I like what they have, bringing over DeJounte Murray. I can see this team, kind of pushing past what they did last year and looking back in, the year prior, the steps they took to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. John Collins is still, pro's pro. They've got Clint Capella down low. I think this team can, if they can get DeAndre Hunter involved in a, borderline all-star capacity, which I think is in his realm of possibilities. I think even if he's just a solid, 5th guy in that starting lineup, that's a monster starting 5 for me. But we'll just have to wait and see where they go. I just kind of, just star power wise and momentum and, kind of new energy they're bringing into this year. I like where they could be. And then I'll just put these guys both at the top, the number 2 and the number 1, Boston Celtics, Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're interchangeable. I have Milwaukee as my number 1 seed with a slight advantage. I just think if healthy, I like this team just a tick better. I think Boston had some turbulence over the offseason, losing, Doka as their coach, but bringing over Malcolm Brogdon to kind of, back up, Marcus Smart, Derek White. I think that was just a good trade. Don't have to really ramp up his minutes to start off the year. You still got Peyton Pritchard, but just a guy who I think once you get to the playoffs, you got just an extra piece there. Hopefully, you got Robert Williams, Grant Williams still, obviously Tatum and Brown. It's just a good recipe to kind of win a championship. And then, Bucks still have their big 3, love their bench depth. Just can't say enough about, how deep they can go and just how much confidence they play with behind Giannis. And I guess that's it. That's my top 10. The top 6 just there. But would you make any changes, or do you have any teams that, were, I don't know, maybe ranked too high, or, things that you could see coming out of the East this year?
Yeah, I definitely. I think 1, 2. I'm pretty sure most people are picking Celtics, Bucks. I think going forth, but I do agree on your dark horse with the Hawks. Although it's you add an all-star with another all-star, right? You feel like they ought to be able to take care of things. With DeJounte Murray, adding him along in the backcourt with Trae Young, it's I think that squad, and then also if they can remain healthy and have DeAndre Hunter contribute, add 15, 18 a game or something like that, that would be awesome. Solid D. And then, they have the interchangeable Clint Capella and Okonkwo, right? It's those players are really valuable, I think, with holding down the paint. And then also they're both good at guarding guards and forwards. So, in today's modern day NBA, that's really valuable. So I think, for me, Hawks probably I'm anticipating to be a 3 seed going forth. And, I think you talked about the 76ers. I definitely agree. Play Matisse Thybulle. Like, and honestly, he ought to like go to that, was it Lethal Shooter, that dude on Instagram, right? Like, just, put a little session with him. I don't know who needs to do it, if Matisse needs to do it or expense it 76ers, but I think it'd be worthwhile if he just, fixed up his form a little bit so that he can just make it threes and he can actually contribute on the offensive side. So, because he's such a great defender. And yeah, like I don't understand Doc Rivers thing. I think he just kind of like got pissed off of Matisse Thybulle like fouling players, like for game tying or game winning threes or whatever. And it's like, okay, man, that's just enough. But hey, look, over the course of a long season, great contributor, and I think we need some games on the defensive side. So, and hopefully, yeah, he takes he matures a little bit in terms of his game and takes things to the next level and just doesn't do any of those stupid, silly fouls there. So, overall, I don't see anything necessarily wrong, I think, with any of your picks. I think they all kind of make sense there. I am definitely iffy on the Heat, unfortunately, after talking with Stefano and everything. It's just, yeah, they are aging a little bit. And hey, I get, it's one of those, we saw it kind of happen, I think, last year with Kyle Lowry, like didn't really do too much in the playoffs. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how much he has left. He's had a great career and everything, but he's only going to get older. I think he's like now on the other side of like 35 right now. So it's like, I really don't know how much. And in today's NBA, you kind of have to have that nice point guard in order to like advance and do well in the playoffs and such. So that's definitely where I just feel a lot of hesitancy there. And yeah, with some question marks with Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, etc. It's like, okay, like what's their ceiling necessarily? Like Tyler Hero, I think we've spoken about his defense as well. And they also lost like PJ Tucker and not having him, Jay Crowder. Like it's just kind of a new team now, essentially. So yeah, don't think that they're as appetizing, I would say, as some of the other teams. And yeah, love the Raptor pick. I feel like it's because like they don't have necessarily that one star player, but they have that length, that defense, those wings, right? They can really create a lot of havoc on the defensive side and put things on the open court. And Nick Nurse, one of the best coaches in the NBA, like very good, makes a lot of great strategic decisions there going forward. So yeah, can't really say what I switch a spot or two maybe, but I feel pretty good about having, I think, the Hawks at 3. I just think that they're going to be taking things, or they're essentially just going to be taking the next step. So, yeah.
Definitely. I guess with that, let's shift over to the West. I want to hear, what your rankings are. Maybe if you want to start with the play-in tournament and work your way up.
Yeah. I got, I got like my 10 teams here, right? So I got, was it the Trailblazers here? I think they're like 4-0 right now. So as we're shooting on a Tuesday, October 25th right now. So yeah, they're playing pretty well overall. It seems like they have good rhythm. Anthony Simmons, playing kind of a lights out, kind of taking over that CJ McCollum type of role, secondary to Dame Lillard. So yeah, I think that he's going to have a good season overall. And then I got the Lakers. Still a lot of question marks about their health. Westbrook, what the hell is it? I feel like there's just so much drama, almost to a similar extent of comparison between them and the Nets. Just that obviously the Lakers did win a championship, with LeBron and Anthony Davis, right? There's just a lot of question marks, I think, apart from those two. And then obviously, can Anthony Davis, play a full season, be healthy for the playoffs? I think all those things on top of like the roster around them too. Nice that they brought in Pat Bev, right, to kind of spice things up. And he does have a track record of, I think, playing for winning teams. So, who knows, maybe that does kind of settle it there. But yeah, they have to figure out what to do with Westbrook, because this is a toxic relationship, I feel like, for both of them. So, and then at the 8th seed here, I got the Pelicans actually. Thought about moving them up, maybe switching them up with some other teams up there. Can talk more about those other teams later, but they think they showed a lot of what they are able to do, even without Zion Williamson. And it's like, okay, with a healthy as Zion Williamson can be, right? what can that team look like? And I think there's a lot of potential for them. It's CJ McCollum and everything as well. Kind of having a season with the Pelicans, and then Herb, one of my favorite 3-and-D type of players as well. I think he's just a very good contributor overall, along with that entire team. I think so. Yeah, have a lot of favorability for them. Mavs, I think at 7. I think Luka gonna have a good year. I know they lost Jalen Brunson, so I think that's where I felt like, yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie. I think he can definitely score and be a contributor, but I think they just need more playmakers overall. I think we've spoken about that, and I don't think they really addressed it too much there. So yeah, those are my 10 to 7 picks. Pat, any comments on any of those things?
Yeah, no, we've got, for the majority, the same teams kind of in there. I had a tough gut call to make with the Sacramento Kings and the Lakers. Man, if the Lakers can't beat the Sacramento Kings to get that final spot for me, it's pretty sad. I think there is a scenario where Westbrook is traded at some point this year. Maybe it's the All-Star break. Hopefully it's sooner than that for everyone's sake. Maybe revisit that Pacers trade that was on the board with Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, and having to pry away those 2 first-round picks from the Lakers side of things. You might have to just make that move at this point if you really want to, make LeBron, happy enough, and give your team a puncher's chance to just be a more legit playoff team this year. I don't see championships in their future, personally, but you got to give them a shot, and I think that's the best way to do it. So I think they will lock down one of those spots in the playoffs. And I only have one other team flipped with you in the next stage of things, but I believe they'll be in your top 6. So we'll pick that apart when we get there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So 6 through 1. I got the Timberwolves here, actually. So I got the Timberwolves. I am actually not that big of a fan of the Rudy Gobert trade. I don't think he fits the team that well. Would love to be proven wrong, but in today's NBA, I just feel like it's just not necessary to have 2 7-footers, as agile and as athletic, I guess, as Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns may be. I just don't think that they fit together. This isn't the 90s or whatever. So I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I think they just simply have enough talent around them, with also Anthony Edwards, and just a lot of good, players all around. I know they lost Pat Beverly, their quote unquote, I guess, MVP of their playoffs last year. But, I certainly see Anthony Edwards taking that next step in his career. And then, with Rudy Gobert, he's certainly just going to have that team is just going to have enough length and defense, I think, to help win them some games. So, and then after that, I got the Clippers actually here. They added John Wall, kind of coming off the bench right now and everything. From an entire squad, if you just go through the entire lineup, right? A lot of solid veterans overall, right? So with Luke Kennard as well, and then obviously with the star players, Kawhi and Paul George, they're definitely going to be up and down, but in terms of talent, it's hard to kind of beat or match up with a team like the Clippers. So we'll see how they go in the playoffs, but obviously, with kind of Kawhi not playing a full season, it's hard to have that continuity, I think, going forth. And similar to Paul George, there's a lot of question marks, I think, on the health side and where Kawhi is at this time. So after that, I got the Grizzlies here, actually. So I think, they played really well last year. I think John Morant took it to the next level. And Desmond Bane, one of my favorite players. I think the entire NBA, just, kind of old school, does not too flashy, but plays solid defense and, knows how to shoot the ball. So I think he's definitely going to be a key contributor there, along with Adams and Jaren Jackson. So, and then the Warriors, I have the defending champion Warriors. I got number 2 in the West. The only reason I guess that they're not number 1, I just think that they're going to try to think a little more in the long term. Some of the players are only getting a little bit older, so they just might have to sacrifice a win or two here and there. And then number one, a fully healthy, or as healthy as can be, Nugget squad. So I'm anticipating that, hey, they've had a couple of years to, chill on the recliner a little bit, stretch out. So we saw what they can do when, even when they're still young, like with Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, what they can do during playoff time and everything. And then, in the bright lights. So I feel like with them, having the two-time MVP Joker as well, and the talent that they have around him entering this season, I feel like that's enough to secure the top slot there. So, yeah, those are my 1 through 6.
Now, did I miss one of your? Can you go back through 1 through 6 for me real quick?
Yeah, one I got Nuggets, I got Warriors, Grizzlies, Clippers, Suns, and then Timberwolves.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to confirm. No, solid top 6. I only have some minor changes up and down the board a little bit. I'm with you on the Clippers and basically the New Orleans Pelicans. To me, they're very similar in the sense that if Williamson and Leonard happen to miss significant time this year, they're kind of in the same situation they were last year, and that could affect their overall upside as teams. But love the talent that both teams have. I have the Clippers at 5 and the Pelicans at 7. The only switch that I had with you to mention was the Timberwolves I have as the A seed. And I only put them there because they lost Pat Bev. And I feel like their bench depth is not outstanding. In my opinion, I feel like if there happens to be an injury or if they just need to count on somebody in big minutes in the playoffs, they just don't love, what they got after bringing over a really star-studded piece in Gobert. I think that he's a great anchor for that defense, but what it cost them was, just a lot of rotation pieces and a lot of, things that, I think most championship teams need, after it's all said and done. Now, if they would have made a couple more moves after that to really shore everything up, I'd feel a lot better about them today, despite the, multiple first-round picks that they gave up for it. But no, outside of that, I'd be very nitpicky throughout the rest of the teams. I think, Memphis and Golden State I have Memphis at 2 and I have Golden State at 1, with Denver at 3, Phoenix at 4. But I just, for me, I like where Memphis is going. They obviously took an amazing leap last year, and I feel like that momentum is still carrying them into this season. I think even if a guy like Bane goes down or, whoever it could be, I think Ja Morant is that good where it's like, he's just going to ball. He's kind of like Giannis in that sense. Like he's just going to put up his numbers and like everybody else just grab a roll and, do your best, but like, you don't need to do too much. And that's why, I think that he will stay healthy. I feel like he's got young legs and I think he's going to carry this team to a really strong ranking this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think, with a lot of these teams, it's like, can they stay healthy, right? So, with and that's where I'm like, I'd like to think I'm bullish. I think with like Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray staying healthy, but they don't have the best track record. So, in terms of the rest of the teams and everything, I feel like if any of these teams can stay healthy, and there's so many variables that I think that go towards that. It just depends if if they're healthy and can they play like a majority of the games, because that's always where I feel like the Clippers that they stand out is it's like in terms of length, defense, good wings and everything. If they can stay healthy, that's a hard team to beat. But going forth, it'll be fun, I think, especially with the Warriors and what they're gonna do with Kuminga, and obviously they've had their own offseason drama too with Draymond. We'll see what happens, I think, with the rest of the teams there and how the Warriors I think progress from there. So for Denver, I think the only point I'd bring up is I feel a little bit more confident with Jamal Murray than I do Michael Porter Jr. staying healthy, just because this has been Porter's story since he entered the league. I feel like when we were going into that draft, I can't remember the exact year, but we had the option of Wendell Carter Jr. or Michael Porter Jr. And I was like, God, like, why did we pass on, Michael Porter? And I'm like, this guy's going to be a star and this and that. And it's like,
every year since then, I feel like Wendell Carter's put up a double-double, and Michael Porter's like barely played a full season. It's just like, it's disappointing, man. I want him to stay healthy. Obviously want him to be like a star in the NBA. Denver is going to be okay if they don't have Porter, but they have Murray for the full year. It's just like with both healthy, like that's a scary team. And if they stay healthy, they're the kind of team that could be the number one seed in the league for sure.
Yeah, that's a big if for sure. But I'm betting. I want to be bullish on them. I want to be optimistic about them. I feel like it's good for basketball, overall. If Jokic, the reigning MVP and everything, can have a good squad around them, and the Nuggets are winning basketball, I feel like. So yeah.
Definitely. Well, with that, that lines up our Eastern Conference, Western Conference picks. Wayne, I don't know if you want to pick a conference championship or if you just want to dive right into the finals, but we can do either or.
Yeah, I we'll go with the conference champions. I got let's see here. I got the Nuggets. So I got the Nuggets here. Actually, I'm really bullish. I'm really bullish on Michael Porter Jr. All of a sudden, he like sees like some sort of doctor. Says, "Yeah, I got your back." Whatever. So I think it's gonna be them and the Bucks. With the Bucks, they kind of got the injury bug, late with Chris Middleton going down in the playoffs. So that I think really killed the momentum, any type of momentum that they had. With the Bucks, they just have to have a full healthy squad similar to the Nuggets. So again, I feel like hoping that both teams, I think, can be healthy. I think when they're both those teams are healthy, it's just really good for basketball overall. So who's your picks?
I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors coming out of the West. I feel like it's just cliche at this point. It's getting redundant. We're all tired of it, but I just feel like they have a starting five behind the starting five. I feel like they just have like 10 legitimate players that can, either be starters, bench players, whatever it is. They all play for the team. Jordan Poole, Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman. It's kind of like just an embarrassment of riches for them to kind of like pull from the reserves, and they've got DiVincenzo that came over too in a signing. So I just think it's like a big injury can take place, and they've just got guys that can go ahead and pluck. So that's a really nice problem to have. Now my Eastern Conference, this is really tough because I'm just like sitting here stewing on it, but it's like. So I'm going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks too. I think I'm going a little safe here because deep down inside, I really want to pick the Nets, man. I really do. It's disgusting. Nobody wants to hear it. I mean, it's bad, but there is something about the Bucks' consistency, the way that they're unselfish, the way that they're all committed. You're right. It was a Middleton injury away from probably being in the finals last year. I just see it as I like what they bring together, from an upside perspective, but then, just shoring up that bench depth. I think they brought over Ibaka. They still got Connaughton in there. They've got Bobby Portis off the bench. Grayson Allen, might become a little bit better as a starting guard this year. I just see this team as being really well-rounded. The only thing is that tantalizing upside that the Nets have. And it's just like, if they put it all together, if they are all committed for 1 year, just 1 year, I mean, I don't see a lot of holes in that team either. I mean, from a bench perspective too, it's like, I don't know who they're going to go with their, starting guard, whether it's going to be Curry or Harris for the long term, but either way, you've got a great 3-point shooter off the bench. Then you got Patty Mills, you got, trying to think, they brought over TJ Warren on a pretty good deal. They traded for Royce O'Neal. It's interesting, man. They got that their own big three, their own like sideshow three that they're putting out there. And, I don't know, man, this could be the most interesting team that we've ever seen, assembled. And they are either going to, persevere here, or they're going to completely crash on their faces. I think there's only one of two outcomes there.
Yeah, again, I feel like you have a toxic relationship with the Nets now. It's like, I know you kind of like were pushing them along last year and everything. It's like, they have, Durant healthy and Irving there as well. So it's like, okay, bygones be bygones. we don't know what we're doing with Simmons. Seems like Simmons is playing now, though looks like he's getting in foul trouble. But like you're saying, so it's probably the same relationship I feel like I have with the Clippers of like, Kawhi, he's just gonna show up in the playoffs and then they're gonna make a run. Like they just need to get there and be healthy, right? So similar thing with the Nets, similar situation, I think, going forth. But it will be, I think, it would be great for basketball though if it is like the Bucks. Whereas I just feel like I don't know, like I'm always hesitant about picking up back to backs and everything like that. But if I am, obviously it's this Warriors team, like they are a dynasty, and if they can stay healthy, again, it's the whole healthy thing. It's going to be hard for any team to beat them for sure.
Yeah, I just think they play with like they have the luxury, and whether or not they're the first seed or the fourth seed or whatever it is, it's like they have the luxury of, hey, Steph, you want a night out? Like we've got Jordan Poole, Clay, are you a little banged up? Oh, we'll just slot in DiVincenzo. It's like, it's just kind of, they've got the ability to do that. And even in a playoff series, if like somebody's coming up gimpy, I feel like they can, work their way through a series early on and, kind of save their death lineup in reserve for later. And they've always done that. And it's just their ability to reload and to kind of, adapt and evolve as a unit. It's just crazy. It's mind blowing actually. And I'm very curious to see how Moody and Kuminga are going to, step out here in their second years here as pros. I want to see if like, are they just bench players or are these like serious talents that we all have to like keep our eyes on moving forward?
Yeah. And then Wiseman too. I think that's the key thing. Cause it's like, he's probably going to be the one that's in a way kind of taking Draymond Green's place. What we're anticipating he's probably going to leave. I think it was after next season is when his contract runs out. So if that's the case, then, they are going to need some sort of big person there or maybe they just go like Kuminga, Wiggins, and then was it Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, and Curry as like their death lineup or something like that. So, but yeah, I think they just have so many pieces, and that's just like a masterful GMing. Obviously, they had to have two of the best players on the planet be hurt for a couple of years, but I think that's just that just goes to show like good management just kills. I feel like so. Yeah, I would definitely like it though if the Warriors do win though. That could be fun.
Yeah, most definitely. How about for awards? Maybe we'll start off with the MVP. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, do we have a championship winner or?
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
We're getting there, but not all the way, So
I thought me mentioning the Warriors in the finals was good enough to be my answer, but yeah, that's my answer. The Warriors for sure.
Okay, I got the Bucks. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. No, I think it'll be. I mean, I hope that's what it is because I'd love to see Giannis and Curry go heads up. I mean, I think everybody would. So we'll see, but yeah, definitely two great franchises. But awards. How about the MVP?
Yeah, MVP. I got John Morant winning it. I think
Ditto.
You got it too. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, just kind of like it's a combination of things. I feel like oftentimes, especially I think a recent memory, it's been much more of like the one-star player, but then you don't want to have too many like side pieces, if you will. You don't want too many Robins. Like that's kind of what's deterred. It deterred I think MJ from winning it several times. Has deterred Steph Curry from winning it. So it's a combination of that. It's like, Desmond Bain, great player and all that, but nobody's looking at him like, oh yeah, you're like a James Harden type of level player, So that's where I feel like there's a lot of that kind of going into John Morant, and he just, the first couple games of the season playing lights out. Like he's having as good of a season as anybody, and if they're a top 5 seed in the West, I think that all kind of adds up for John Morant going forth. And especially, if my idea of Jokic being teamed up again with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. for, kind of a healthy Nuggets team, then that certainly is where I think that a little bit of that flavor is going to be diminished for Jokic there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I follow the same points there. I think that it's also just like a popularity contest in some ways, and the guy who's kind of like the it guy this year, and Ja stepped out to be, a bona fide all-star last year and kind of really, turned heads, moved his way up into like the points per game leaders. He, obviously carried Memphis pretty far in the playoffs. I mean, they're a fun team, and it's exciting to see, some meaningful basketball taking place in Memphis, and he's put that entire team on his back. And I like their supporting cast. You're right. I mean, they're deep enough. It's just like, like you're saying, can a guy like Bane be considered in the same breath as somebody else as number two? Looking at some of the teams stacked up at the top of these conferences, like not really. So he still has time to go. I still think he's, could be an all-star himself. So we'll just kind of have to see. But for sure, this was kind of like a pretty easy decision for me. But in the same sense, I think that Jason Tatum was a guy that I truly considered here, just given, what he did last year all the way through the finals, and didn't really know as much about his defensive prowess as I kind of had been researching at the end of last year. But it's worth noting, and I think he's only going to get better with time, and we'll understand what better truly is, like based on his leadership, based on how he makes other guys better. And I think numbers wise, he probably still, put up even better numbers than he did. So that was my only dark horse, behind Durant, or behind Morant, I should say.
Yeah. I definitely like Tatum. I think he could be one. And then, potentially like Luka. I thought about Luka too, kind of going to that factor a little bit like John Moran, like, Spencer Dinwiddie, like, yeah, he's not he's not going to be seen like as that all-star level player. I think he wasn't an all-star, but he's not going to be seen as like that all-star level kind of player, right? To kind of compliment him. But I think, with Luka, he kind of is if he's not there, like what do they got, right? So that certainly is would be my other pick, apart from John Morant. I think it was being between those two. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's my only criticism with Doncic is it's not Doncic, it's just the Mavs. Like I see the Mavs as like, they're just not good enough maybe to be like a top 4 team in their conference, and that's the only disappointing part. I wish we could pair up another star with Doncic, or just have them bring in an influx of young talent, or just surround him with some better pieces, because I would just hate to see him go year after year just one and done, or whatever it could be in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would hate to do it, but it's like, what would happen if Victor like he gets hurt a little bit, or like I'll say it, like what happens if he just like coughs up a season, right? It's like, hey, we got rid of Jalen Brunson, like he was like our number 2 in a way last year. So we're not going to do anything this year. So might as well just get like one of the best like prospects ever and see if or we can get him. Like this year's draft definitely is going to be good. So not to say that I'm for coughing up a season, or just kind of putting on the wayside, but I feel like with Doncic like that, he definitely needs like somebody like that. So
yeah. I mean, if he happens to get injured somehow, some way, and he's gone for the year, I mean, that's an exciting team if they were to pick up that guy. I mean, was he like 7'4" and kind of like a freak athlete, can shoot threes and stuff. So let's hope something good happens for Dallas. But in any sense, moving on in the awards for Defensive Player of the Year, Wayne, did you have one there?
I got Bam Adebayo, actually. He's always been well. First off, I think with Smart, it's like usually when they do a guard of some sort because they want to be alternative, they're like, okay, that's nice. Let's go back to like a center, or a nice wing. So I know Mikal Bridges, I think he was second last year. I was kind of debating between Adebayo and him, but I definitely think like Bam, he's always been kind of in the limelight with regards to being like a really great defender, can guard 1 through 5. I think that's just his appeal. Has had, he's been an all-star. He has great blocks, I think, in the playoffs. Blocked Tatum in that one series clincher, basically. So I think with Bam, I think he's going to show out. And I think Vegas also has him like top 3. So, going to bet on the house with regards to that. But yeah, I think Bam and what they're able to do, I think with he's going to be a central piece with the Heat. And I think he'll take it to the next level and earn Defensive Player of the Year for the Heat.
Yeah, I went with Giannis here. I think that he's going to get slighted a little bit in the MVP category, so they're going to look at other ways to celebrate him in a way. I think he's a five-time all defensive player. I think he's won it once in 2019, but I also just see him as being one of the top defensive players in the league. I think that he rates up pretty high in defensive rating. He gets rebounds, he gets blocks, he's quick, he's able to cover multiple positions. And I think as a unit, they'll be pretty good on that side of the ball with Drew Holiday's got his great hands and, they're committed. They're together. So I think he takes that award. I think guys like Rudy Gobert are always going to be in the mix. And, it seems like, even Jason Tatum too, like has been kind of in the upper echelon of the defensive rating. So it's just kind of like, that's just my pick. I think it's like the popular choice, and will go over well with him after coming up short in the MVP category.
Cool. Yeah. Who do you got for six man?
Six man, I went with Jordan Poole. I think that this is his year. I was happy to see Tyler Hero get it last year. I thought that was fair. I think that there weren't a lot of reserves that were scoring the way that Tyler Hero can score. I think Jordan Poole can do that, if not a little bit more for the Golden State Warriors this year. He's firmly entrenched behind Curry and Thompson, so I don't see him, breaking into the starting lineup all too often. You also got Wiggins there, so it's like, who's going to come up big with bench minutes, with scoring, and all that. And I think he is already off to like 16 points per game. I think that it's kind of like the new age Jamal Crawford type guy you can just bring in and just kind of put up numbers and facilitate the offense, and they'll be on a great team. So that'll also give him some bonus points, but that's who I went with the six man. But how about you, Wayne?
Yeah, I got Jordan Poole too. I think it always seems like, with the six man, like it's very much more favorable about scoring a little bit more so. So thought about him. The only other one I thought about was maybe like Christian Wood, who's been coming off the bench for the Mavs actually. So he's been scoring a bunch, getting rebounds too, and playing pretty overall solid defense. But yeah, it just always seems like from the award perspective, it usually goes to whoever the like the top scorer is, or one of the top scorers, in the NBA off the bench. So, and Tyler Hero won it last year, and he was definitely like one of the top scorers there. So thinking, Jordan Poole, with the healthy Klay Thompson, he's not going to get those starts as much. So that's definitely where I was like, yeah, Jordan Poole seems like I think a good overall solid pick for that.
Yeah, I mean, health aside, some other guys that I was thinking about was Malcolm Brogdon, kind of slotted in, for Boston there. I think he can, probably score just about as good as Jordan Poole can. I just don't know, can he put together a full season? I don't think he has in quite some time. And then for Brooklyn, it's kind of like wondering, like, is it going to be Seth Curry or Joe Harris, at the starting shooting guard position? Because it's like whoever takes on that six-man role, I think could put up double-digit points, could be a reliable, three-point threat off the bench. Like, health aside, again, for both of these guys, see what Harris does in a return year. But no, I think overall, Poole's just a pretty favorable choice there.
Yeah, for sure. And especially if they do go to the championship and everything, again, right, he'll definitely be a key contributor, kind of coming off the bench there, and putting up some buckets, because he can definitely do that. He just gets buckets like in droves. So, and again, six man, very much about the bucket getter. So,
for sure. How about the rookie of the year for you?
I got. This is a little tough, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jaden Ivey right now. I think he's in a great situation. A lot of young talent around him, so they're all kind of just trying to figure out how do we all kind of fit in here. But so far, he's really just shown that, hey, I know what I'm doing, and he shot really efficiently too. I think he's like shooting like 50% out of the field, and not making too many mistakes. Passing, getting rebounds, playing solid defense overall. So looking like a great pick, looking like a great draft overall. I think the only other player that I would consider, Paolo, like he's played okay. I think he's like averaging like 22 points right now, but I feel like there's just been he hasn't been as efficient. It's just been one of those. I'm scoring a bunch of buckets because everybody else kind of sucks around me or isn't able to score as much. So that's sometimes where I feel like it's going to look lesser on his lesser for him in that sense. So I think the other one I'm thinking about is Benedict Mathurin. He's been really, really solid, I think, for the Pacers, at least right now. And, with that Pacers squad, I feel like, yeah, they kind of have that opening for a wing, but they have a lot of talent around the wing and everything, with Tyrese Halliburton shooting efficiently and everything there. And obviously, like Miles Turner at the center position. I know they have like some wings like with Buddy Hield and all, but I feel like there's just so much opportunity for him to contribute in kind of the wing spot for the Pacers, and they still don't have enough talent, I feel like, around there for him to like just fit right in. And a lot of solid veterans too for him to learn from and grow from. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my pick was Paulo Banchero. I just feel like, what he's able to do in multiple dimensions of the game with scoring, rebounding, his passing ability. I feel like he's got good length. He, had some pretty disgusting block off the backboard in, the first game. But, I just like what he brings to the table. I think he'll, put up enough numbers to make himself the most attractive of the pack. I feel like, like you're saying with the Magic, still got them kind of in the, bottom tiers of the conference itself. I like where that team could possibly go in years ahead. I mean, with, the Wagner brothers, you've got Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs when he gets healthy again. You got Wendell Carter Jr. It's like, that's a good young squad. I mean, obviously you need some more, time and some veteran depth there, but it's exciting to see what their future, could possibly hold for them if folks can just stay in Orlando for once and like, just kind of go through the hardship and and see the light at the end of the tunnel as a team. But also just give a shout out to the Pistons. They were very close to cracking into my top 10 in the East. I really wanted to, but like you're saying, I mean, 2 home run drafts in a row for the team itself, and Jalen Duren kind of backing up Isaiah Stewart. I mean, it feels like he's just knocking on the door to take that center position at some point. And Stewart's been solid. And, Sadiq Bey is another guy who just kind of like slides under the radar because he's not, the top pick in the draft or whatever else. But like, he's almost averaging 20 points a game, and, he's playing his part over there too. And to grab Bogdanovich for the Jazz for basically free, it was like, damn, like this team is fun. And, they're going to go through their growing pains too. But, I see some light at the end of the tunnel for them as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I really do like the Pistons. I think they'll be good. I think this will definitely be a building year for them. They they have been drafting well. I think the one draft pick was like Killian Hayes, really good defender. But what's he shooting now? Like, 16% for the year right now after like 3-4 games. It's like, yeah, you can do a little bit better than that, man. And I was really high on him. I think he actually shot like 80 some odd percent, which usually free throw shooting is usually a pretty good indicator that the players can have a repetitive wrist action and everything and can shoot off the dribble for threes and stuff like that, but has not shown any type of offensive acumen whatsoever. But yeah, to your point, they have a lot of young talent. They're adding some vets around them, so I think maybe next year this potentially I think could be a playoff team for sure.
Yeah, if you're going to import anything from France, make it a good, bottle of Bordeaux or some fine cheese, but just keep no, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, Killian Hayes, like complete bust. Cool name, but yeah, he's been pretty god awful.
Yeah, and oh man, this definitely is like the what ifs, right? It's like Sadiq Bey, he's in pretty good. Is having a really solid career right now, and it's like, man, if the Bulls like traded back instead of getting Patrick Williams right now, not to like throw away Patrick Williams yet, but man, Sadiq Bey is playing really well. Averaging 18 points right now for the season, 14 for his career. So, and shooting at a pretty decent clip of like 36%, 33% from three. And yeah, has like I think like a 40-point game in his resume too. So, but hey, there's still a lot of basketball to be played, I think. So,
definitely. How about let's stay with players most improved?
Yeah, I got them all. I got Anthony Simmons here actually. So, I think he averaged like 17 points last last season he was kind of like up for it. I think he might have been up for it, but I think this season, I think he's going to be in the 20 spectrum, and I think, I know 17 to 20 doesn't look as cool, right? As like I think where he was like last season, he was like 8 or 9, and then now he's like 17 because they got rid of CJ. But he's really, really, early this season right now, kind of shown that he's worked on his game a lot. And they're Blazers are 4-0. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I feel like Anthony Simmons, he's going to be a 20-point game scorer. Paired with him and Lillard, I think that could be a pretty interesting development that's happening over there. But I got Anthony Simmons here. So who do you have?
I picked Scotty Barnes. I think that after his rookie year, he put up some really good numbers. I feel like he brought in some defensive prowess that team could always use and is pretty good team defensively in that respect. So I just felt like he fit like a glove in Toronto, especially under Nick Nurse. But for them to just kind of bat down the Durant trade offers, which again were ridiculous in the offseason, but I think they just have a lot of trust and faith in this guy, and his talent really showed out last year. I just think like a guy with his just makeup in general, his age, where he can go from here with a playoff contending squad, good coaching. I just think this could be a year where he really breaks out, gets above, maybe 20 points, maybe, improves in the assist category a bit, plays with the efficiency that, maybe can, with an improved Pascal Siakam or Anunoby, et cetera. It's kind of like, he's going to be a true facilitator for that team. And, I like the team. I like him. So I think he'll get most improved.
Yeah. I think, that's a solid overall pick overall. He has like, he's always been a player with like some of the most potential, I think, in the entire NBA, right? He's a playmaker, and with the squad they have around him, and this is year 3, I think, now with him. So getting that continuity under his belt, I think, with the Toronto Raptors, it totally makes sense. I think, he's averaging 14 at the moment right now, but I think there's been some like blowout wins here and there, or maybe some losses, so that might interfere with it. But he definitely is a player I think could be making an all-star team, I think, in the near future. So
he's nursing an ankle right now, so I think he's going to be out for a game or so. But just in general, like he's coming in, at least his sophomore year. I think he's gonna crush it this year once he's back and healthy, and should be really good.
Cool. Do we have any other ones here? Is there a comeback player of the year award?
I could think about it. The only other one I had was coach. But if you've got a comeback, I'll listen to yours and I'll think in the process.
I mean, Jamal Murray, I guess, for comeback. Like, just kind of like, all right, he's healthy. Yay. All right. So it's been a while, but I think he's kind of I don't know if there needs any other explanation. I don't know if there's anybody that's been hurt as long as he has, maybe apart from his other teammate, right? So
I mean, perhaps Kawhi, perhaps Zion, for both of them. How about Udonis Haslem just coming back for his 20,000th season?
Don't call it a comeback.
Roll the dice with any of those three. I think Jamal is probably most likely to stay healthy all year. I feel like tearing an ACL, getting it repaired, these days is kind of like it's doable. I feel like guys who have like lingering back issues or just kind of not conditioned very well, or just like kind of had litany of different injuries, like those are the kind of guys I worry about. But I think Jamal should be fine, and like you're saying, the upside of the Nuggets is so high that he's going to get a lot of notoriety if he stays healthy and just does his job.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you got for coach?
For coach, I picked Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that they are going to push their way toward the top. I have them as my number 2 seed. They had a great year last year. I think they only get better from here, or just stay consistent with what they did. This award usually, goes to a newer coach that hasn't yet received the award, or a team that's just like, kind of newly anointed in that way. So I just feel like he was a good, safe choice as far as like somebody who hasn't been handed that award just yet, and who obviously deserve it with what the Grizzlies can put together this year.
Yeah, for sure. I had him too. I that being said, if I were to, try to pick somebody else, I'm thinking Willie Green from the Pelicans. They definitely have a talented squad. They're young, but yeah, obviously like Zion and like Brandon Ingram, they've both been in the league for several years now, and then they do have a talented player like with CJ McCollum. So it's like, yeah, they have the talent, but then obviously they need a coach that knows what they're doing, and they haven't really been, they've always been kind of on the brink of not making the playoffs too. So I feel like if Willie Green, if the Pelicans can make a run and go to like maybe like six seed or higher or something like that, I think that really can push Willie Green, I think, up there more so, especially after the success that I think the Grizzlies had last year, right? It's like, okay, this is kind of expected now. So that's where I think that movement, that if the Pelicans can take things kind of to the next level there, I think Willie Green will get a lot of notoriety for that.
Got it. Yeah, there are some teams that, I put deeper down into these standings and predictions and stuff just because of anything that could happen, injuries, chemistry, whatever else it could be. But there are some scary teams that I have ranked, lower in the standings that I could definitely see making a push toward the championship. And just kind of things fall their way, like a Brooklyn, a Toronto, perhaps it is Minnesota. You don't know. It's just like, New Orleans. It's just kind of, this year will be really interesting. I guess part of the construction of some of these predictions for players and for teams is just like my own sense of security. Like, can I really put my faith into, the Clippers to just step out and like go all the way this year? Like, and it's in the realm of their possibilities, but I'm just like really hesitant about that.
Yeah. No, the NBA is always fun, and I think this is the great part of the season, right? Hey, if the Blazers continue on with their 4-0 type of record and everything, obviously they're not going to win every single game, but that could be something. Then that's where Billups. I think he's the head coach over there right now. So if they can make a run there with Lillard, obviously nobody's expecting them to really do anything, but yeah, they do have a star player in Lillard, and Anthony Simmons is having a great season. But if they are able to sneak their way into the playoffs, I feel like, hey, this is a great case then for Billups.
Definitely. The only other thought I had for this is the Utah Jazz. I feel like so excited about their future. I mean, they are so set for life at this point. But man, they've got some interesting stuff going on right now. Like, they are pretty deep. If you look at them, they're a really deep team. They're, I think stacked with some really interesting like second or third pieces on a championship team, and then some really like interesting young depth. It's like, I don't even think Agbaji's even like cracked the rotation yet. And it's like Walker Kessler's coming off the bench, but you got Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Laurie's like putting up, buckets at this point. It's just like, it's kind of fun, man. I don't know. Like, could they be like a real scrappy, playing, type contender this year? Like, could it actually spin the opposite way, where it was like they were deliberately trying to tank, but then there's just too much talent and chemistry there, and like guys were, trying to prove the world wrong in a lot of ways. It's just like, it's a fun mix of talent. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing I feel like with the Jazz team right now, is just that everybody is a contributor, right? And sometimes that's great. If they're playing great team basketball at the moment, Lauri Markkanen, apparently like he's become like an all-star essentially here. So it'll be interesting if they are able to actually do something here. And that I bet if they do like make it to the playoffs, Danny Ainge will be like, what the hell, guys? Like, we traded away 2 of our best players, and this is what you do to thank me and everything. So but yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I think if they make like a Cleveland or like a major league, was it like the Cleveland Indians at the time, now I know the Guardians and everything, if they do something like that, right, it'd be pretty funny. So
yeah, it kind of reminds me of some of the Bull squads we watched in like the 2010s when you had like Heinrich, Gordon, and Deng. It was like, you knew that 3 wasn't good enough to like go anywhere super special, but they always played like scrappy. They were well coached. They were committed to, the process. They were with each other for a good amount of time. It's like, if these guys just kind of move together and then like just add some pieces along the way, like odds are they're going to be probably bad, but the same sense, it's just been like kind of fun to watch them come out of the gate and start like throwing haymakers and stuff.
Yeah, and I do love was it Colin Sexton and Rudy Gay's alternative to was it Darius Garland and Sexton.
Yeah. Don't get us canceled.
No, I'm not gonna put a Kanye out there or anything like that. So yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. And then we got some football, I think, going on here now. So I think week 8, I think we just got settled on, or is it week 7? So
yeah, we're finishing up. We finished up 7, moving into 8.
Got it. Yeah. So what were your takeaways for week 7?
So week 7, a takeaway that I have is that the Packers are done as a conference champion contender. I don't want to say this is like they're done for the NFC North, but honestly speaking, I just feel like the receiving core that they have, I sat back and I was thinking about it, and I was like, who has a better set of receiving weapons, the Chicago Bears or the Green Bay Packers? And it's really hard. It's really hard for me to like sit there and be like, I wouldn't take the Bears weapons over the Packers weapons at this point. And it's weird because I've done nothing but trash on the Bears. And, I think that Darnell Mooney is like a fine, wide receiver 3, maybe a 2. Cole Kmet's interesting. Don't care about a lot of what else is there right now. But on the Packers side of things, it's just like, injuries aside, it's just like I haven't seen enough from Christian Watson. Sammy Watkins is like blah. Alan Lazard hasn't taken a step. Randall Cobb is there, but now he's banged up a little bit. It's just like, so I think they got in way over their heads when they thought that, maybe it was a lot of Aaron driving it, but it's just like, yeah, you can get rid of Devontae Adams and Valdez-Scantling, and I'm just going to like roll this one back because, I'm A-Raj and I can do this, and you paid me $50 million a year. And like, it just hasn't been good enough. And like the defense just hasn't been stifling enough. Like they gave up 27 points to the Jets. Like they let Heineke, do his thing, last weekend. And it's just like going into the game, I was like, I wouldn't really be shocked if the Commanders beat them at home right now. And they ended up doing it. So I think that they'll put together a respectable enough season. We'll see where the Vikings go if like they're really, really serious. But I think that the Packers can contend. Maybe they get up to 10 wins this year, but I think they're like a first round exit or not much further after that.
Yeah, they've been playing terrible. I think man, how about those Commanders, right? Like beating the Bears and the Packers too. So really owning up the NFC North here and everything. But no continuity on offense, defense, not being able to make plays there. A lot of teams, I guess they're kind of in the upswing a little bit too, like with the Giants and Jets playing against them and beating them. So that certainly is where it just seems like there's a lot of kind of like lost momentum, or there's no momentum whatsoever happening for the Packers at the moment. So defense is still kind of there, but yeah, again, they're not making plays, not enough plays for that offense that's not really doing too much there to like overcome. So I don't know. Yeah, not too much. I think looking good for them if they can get the run game back, up again to put less pressure off that. But then at the same time, I feel like a lot of teams are kind of sensing that, and they're like, all right, Aaron Rodgers, for like one of the first times in your career, we don't mind you passing actually. So, and that's kind of different, I think, for their team identity. So, but yeah, they're going against the Bills up next. So here, so it's not looking too good. Yeah.
And he kind of said like, just wait till Sunday night. Like maybe this narrative is exactly what we need to get this big victory. Like I can't see it. Like I definitely just can't see this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, good for us in that sake. Like maybe that gives the Bears a window to, be mildly competitive this year. Like maybe. But in any sense, like if the Packers are just trending down in general, like that's so good for us long term because, going Favre to Rodgers and just like never stopping, you feel like you never really experienced like a Packers, setback ever. And this may be the after this year, maybe the point where we kind of start to get that, and that'll be great for us.
Yeah. I think that's one of my takeaways here is now the Bears.
All right.
Having a great game against Bill Belichick and the Patriots there. I felt a little scared when Zappe entered the game and he threw that touchdown. It was underthrown, whatever, but it was still a touchdown. So I definitely felt scared after that. Made a few other plays. I think in the series after that touchdown, but after that, it was kind of like the defense was like, okay, we got this. Made some plays, some turnovers. And then Justin Fields, man, they utilize his strengths. Go figure, right? Like allowing him to run the ball. They design run plays for him. And they were able to get first down, move the chains. Like there were a bunch of like 3 and 5s, 3 and 6s, not getting to those long, like 3rd and 15s. I know that thing that happened a few times in the game, when Fields was kind of just holding on to the ball when he didn't need to. That's just been the biggest knock on him, I think, at the moment. But yeah, I think overall it was a great game, great team win, I think, for the Bears. And isn't it great, though? Yeah, like if the Packers are going a little bit downhill from here, and then the Bears are going up, then I think this is a great time to be a Bears fan. Am I optimistic that they're going to win like 10 games maybe this season? I don't know about all that, but I think it's great. Sometimes we just need those reminders, right? It's like, Justin Fields has the potential to become a great quarterback. Just need to surround him with some talent. We're going to have $100 million in the offseason, all our picks. I think the previous couple of years, that was never the case. So I think the future is looking bright, I think, for the Bears. And if you're a Bears fan, I think, you ought to feel excited. We'll see if he can progress from here, though. And if they do start winning more games, great. But that's just not something I'm expecting at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was finally time they looked behind center and realized that Shane Matthews, Cade McNown, Josh McCown, Henry Burris, like those guys weren't standing behind there anymore. And it's like you got to cater the offense to the talent that you have. And I'm gonna find it hard to assess him this entire year, ups or downs, without a legitimate offense around him. That's the biggest thing. And it's like, going into the year and where we're at now, I love the fact that they, stepped out last night and, they established the run with Herbert and Montgomery too. Like that's a really good 1-2 punch, especially with Fields, because it's kind of like, where are you going with the ball? Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of like a Ravens dynamic. So that's to their advantage. But yeah, I mean, you still need somebody he can have as like, his deep ball pass or his outlet or, his slot guy. And it's just like, I can't trust any of those guys. So we'll see where this goes. Big win. I mean, to just absolutely, blow up the Patriots in their, home field. I mean, that was fun to watch. A lot of takeaways on the defensive side with Brisker, Gordon, but also kind of confusing for the Patriots because Belichick was quoted as saying, like, my plan was to have both these guys play. And I'm like, that's just a shitty game plan, man. Like, why would you go into a game like, I'm going to split reps between these guys? It's like, did he think they were just going to come out and pound, the Bears and it would just be like a practice session for them or something? Like, I hope they think that they have more to play for this year than to just like audition 2 guys. And kind of sucks for Mac Jones because he only got like 6 passes in before he got yanked. And it was like after 1 interception. And granted, it was kind of a bad one, a soft one, and pretty good coverage for the Bears. So it was kind of a bad decision, but still, I mean, I think you just got to pick a pony and ride it until the wheels fall off. And if he's going to play flip flop, from here on going out, I mean, they're gonna have a tough year. But big for the Bears, and I guess with my bet with my father-in-law, we're both at 3 wins now for the Commanders and Bears, respectively. The loser buys the winner a bottle of whiskey. I still think the Commanders are just a step in front of the Bears, but hey, like we'll see where this goes.
Yeah. You got a bunch of bets with alcohol going on here now, so good on you, man. So yeah,
the bourbon I actually like. It's the Malort that I'm gonna just kind of softly dodge here. So like, hopefully the Astros do what I say they're gonna do.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right. Well, who's your next what's your next takeaway here?
We're staying in the NFC North. I am just super disappointed in the Lions. I just feel bad for them. I really liked Hard Knocks. I like Dan Campbell. I like what Jared Goff was putting together going into the year. Had a lot of momentum with, first round fantasy pick and DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back and really showing out, early on. And, St. Brown went out with a concussion. Swift didn't play. And the Lions, again, got trounced 24-6 by the Cowboys. Their defense is last in the league in points allowed and in yards allowed. I mean, that says enough. They just can't stop offenses from scoring. I mean, they're just so thin. I would say outside of like Aiden Hutchinson, kind of like a who's who at every position. I think Rodrigo at linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez has had a good year in output for tackles, but they're just going to need some time to beef up that side of the ball. But they're fourth in the league in total offense. I mean, cheers to them. I'm like, just hats off to them for like stepping out and doing that with the injuries they've had so far to start the year. Truly, they are a threat to the Bears and like what we want to see the Bears accomplish. But I'm just, a team that's been like a perennial doormat. I just wanted them to have, just a more competitive season. It's kind of like what the Jaguars are doing right now in Jacksonville. It's kind of disappointing to not see them take their own steps. So I guess with that, I just wanted to say, like, Detroit Lions fans, we all feel for you here, in Chicago and the DC area respectively. I wish you guys were having a better year. If you guys ever come close to us in the standings, we're going to take you down. But, just wanting Detroit to have some, success out there. That's all I'm saying.
I'm totally okay with them not having success. I'm totally okay with it. But yeah, Dan Campbell, seems like a great coach, great guy, and all that. So maybe I do want them to win a couple games. But yeah, I'm totally fine. They can lose. How many games, whatever they want, just lose as many games as you want. So yeah.
Sounds good. What's your next takeaway?
What do I got here? I think I'm looking at the Raiders. Actually, I think the Raiders will overtake the Chargers in the AFC West. I think, I believe the Raiders, they're 2-4, and then the Chargers are 4-3 or something like that. So I just see a lot more momentum, I think, going with the Raiders right now. They finally figured out that Brandon Jacobs can run the ball like pretty damn well. Like he runs fierce, Josh. Yeah. Brandon Jacobs is awesome. Yeah, a little throwback there and everything. Yeah, with Tiki Barber and all. Josh Jacobs, he's had like 3 hell of a games, I think, consecutively now, and they figured out like, hey, maybe we got to like have him kind of as a central focus, and then utilize Derek Carr after that. With Devontae and the rest of the receiver core, especially with Waller out a little bit. I think he's going to be coming back this next upcoming game. But, the Chargers, they're getting really banged up right now. Lost J.C. Jackson for the season. Looks like Mike Williams will be out for a couple weeks. And, Keenan Allen's kind of been up and down. He's been injured and in and out of the lineup to kind of start the season. Joey Bosa looks like he's going to be out for some time. Rashawn Slater, the left tackle, looks like he's going to be out for some time. And the Raiders looks like they have a pretty favorable schedule, I think, in the next, for basically the next half of the season. So I think going forth, like it's looking pretty good, I think, for the Raiders. Had some pretty, a couple of decent wins here and there. So even though they're 2-4, I feel like there's a lot of things, potentially be excited about for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Josh Jacobs now, I think, is like, what is he, top 5 in like fantasy production, or maybe it's as an overall running back right now. I mean, he's got to be in the top 5 in specific categories at the position, and that's the one thing that's super surprising, because I think that going into the year, the Raiders O-line was a huge point of concern. Would Carr, have enough time to get the ball out to some of his big weapons? And it's, what kind of running game would they, possibly establish behind that kind of line? And somehow, some way that's working. And if you've got Josh Jacobs, putting up the numbers that he is, and then you can, bank it off to Devontae Adams or Renfro or Waller. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, they're good. Defensively, I think they still rank like in the bottom 10 of the league in yardage allowed and stuff. So they're going to play in a lot of shootouts. The Broncos look like crap too in that division. So like that's going to work to their advantage. Like you're saying, I think they still sit at like 2-4, but if things, happen to go south with the Chargers quickly, maybe they could, turn things around enough to look at a playoff berth or something like that. But yeah, no, I mean, definitely encouraging over the last couple of games. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they got the Saints, Jaguars, Colts, and then Broncos for the next couple of games there. So, yeah, and to your point, if they're running the ball, then that usually helps out the defense a little bit from the rest. And with Max Crosby being a playmaker, they're still healthy. Like, yeah, I think that's the best way for them to advance things going forward. So, yeah.
On my end, just my last take, the Bengals just look like they've gotten a new shot of life in them, just kind of the last few games especially. But Joe Burrow passing for 481 yards. He had a 138 QB rating last weekend, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And it was Boyd, Chase, and Higgins all, 8. It was just like they just absolutely came out, fired away. They move up to 4-3. I think they're knotted up with the Ravens toward the top of the division there. Browns and Steelers are obviously looking like they're trailing off in this race pretty quickly. So, we'll see where this takes them, moving forward. But I feel like they've shaken off some of the rust or some of the hangover from the Super Bowl, and they're starting to just get back to what they do best. And Mixon's involved in that running game. They've got the weapons there for the guy under center, all the weapons there. And they've been there before. They've been to the mountaintop. They came up short. They were very close last year. We'll just see where it goes. The AFC is obviously outdoing the NFC at this point at the top, but I think the Bengals have a solid chance here to make a serious run at it again in 2023.
Yeah, for sure. And that wide receiver core is just so damn talented, right? I think they early on in the season they were figuring out their new identity. They had a lot of new faces on the offensive line, so. Hey, now it seems like they're putting things together. A lot of teams are. I think that's what we're seeing overall, right? So whether it be the Raiders trying to figure out, let's run the ball to Josh Jacobs, to hey, let's actually utilize Joe Mixon a little bit, get the confidence and the rhythm of the offensive line set up, and then use Joe Burrow, to pass it to those 3 major wideouts there. So. I think there's a lot of momentum for them going forth, and you look at that division too. There was a lot of talks that was one of the best divisions, but if you look at the Ravens, they've been playing up and down. So like this is definitely a winnable division for them. Browns have not showed up or played to their potential. Maybe they do kind of need Deshaun Watson a little bit there. But yeah, they just haven't been playing that well of late. So I think there's just a lot of momentum going for the Bengals right now. So
yeah. I mean, top 8 in points allowed on the defensive side too, top 11 in total yards allowed. So it's just like that defense can keep them in games. There are not many other offenses in this league that are as dangerous as the Bengals is.
Yeah. And they got one of my favorite D-backs from college, Cam Taylor-Britt. He's finally has 3 registered I think tackles here. So I haven't checked any of the highlights, but yeah, really liked what I saw him coming out of college there. So cool. And I guess I'll round it off here. So the Jets, right? My Jets. So a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. So this is kind of like a balance kind of takeaway, but I feel like I've talked about them the past couple of weeks, so might as well keep the momentum going up on here. They did have like a win and everything, but looks like there's going to be some hard times. I think looking in the future a little bit, like their schedule looks like it's going to get harder. Looks like they got the Vikings, the Bills, I think twice here, and then the Pats as well. Who knows about their quarterback controversy for the Pats, but anybody knows anything about Bill Belichick, it's it's always hard to he always kind of like takes a pleasure of beating the Jets, right? So and then they lost Vera Tucker and then Breece Hall. So there's they did, I think, trade for James Robinson, to kind of reinforce their backfield a little bit there. But going against those top teams, though, having that Breece Hall as kind of an X factor there, and losing one of your starting offensive linemen, that's gonna be tough. So great that they are in a position where they are right now, but it is I feel like it's gonna be kind of hard. I'm anticipating they might have a losing record, I think, going from here on out. So yeah.
Gotcha. Michael Carter and James Robinson, like splitting the work behind, what the offense is going to, put its money behind. It's going to be a little bit tough. I mean, Michael Carter seems to never really gain the trust of the team. I feel like he was splitting time with Ty Johnson, kind of lost his looks there. And, right when Breece Hall goes down, they go ahead and go out and trade for James Robinson, who, came out to a hot start, but I think, a lot of people said he's lost, a lot of bursts because of the Achilles and, fell out of favor in Jacksonville pretty quick. And, ETN was right there. So they were like, all right, well, now we want to officially give this guy the job and, thank you for your services. So I think it'll help bolster, what would have been a pretty empty backfield behind Carter. Let's just hope they keep it, keep the team camaraderie going, because, Breece Hall like going down was just such a huge deflator for everybody who just likes football. And, just to see a Jets team that's been in the cellar for a while kind of step out and, start to make, a turnaround for their franchise. It's just a, huge gut punch for them. And, hopefully they can just stay competitive the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I mean that defense, they have some playmakers there. Sauce Gardner, like rookie of the year, like he's definitely I think one of my favorite players. In this rookie draft class here. So a lot of solid players overall on the defensive side. So I think that at least probably keep them in games. It's just like, are you going to rely on Zach Wilson to help win you games here? They've been kind of avoiding that, So. We'll see if he can get develop a relationship more so with Garrett Wilson, the rookie. If Elijah Moore is like, hey, pass me the ball now. I know he kind of opened up trade talks there. So hey, now is a good time for them to actually utilize him more so now, instead of just as a blocker. So yeah, Zach Wilson will have to step up here, but I've seen some good things from him, I think, in the recent couple weeks, but obviously he's just not passing the ball as much as some other ones. So this time around, I feel like some of these teams are just going to pressure him to do so. And yeah, they're not going to let James Robinson or Michael Carter beat him. So yeah.
Yeah. If I was Robert Saleh, I would definitely start pushing the pass a little bit more, because without Breece Hall, like, what are your true prospects for this year? Like,
yeah,
what is your true upside as a team? Like, if you're vying for a playoff berth, that's one thing, but in the same sense, I feel like you've got to develop Zach, you got to develop, confidence, and you got to see, like, can he be a great quarterback in this league, or are you just going to try to, push him more towards game manager right out of the gate and kind of keep it there because you want to, be the 49ers of the East. I just don't know. I just think I would take a lot of risks this year and just see what I truly have with Zach, and then all of those weapons that have been underutilized at this point.
Yeah, because they do have a lot of young, fast weapons out there. We already talked about them. So yeah, just get the ball in their hands. Hopefully they make plays. Whether it be shorter routes, screen passes, etc. Like they definitely have had a lot of fun, like with some end round or like some like reverse wide receiver reversals and things like that. So they are getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers. I think, just opening it up apart from Breece Hall a little bit. Getting Garrett Wilson involved too, and Elijah Moore. I think there's probably going to be more reliance on them, and then obviously Corey Davis too. So yeah,
for sure. Well, I guess with that was week 7. Our takeaways for tonight from baseball, from basketball, and from football. Wayne, if you want, we can close it out here. Did you have a final thought at all?
I think my only thought is that, I've always been thinking, I always think about like burritos and tacos and everything. So I just want to say no agenda here whatsoever. That lingua tacos, best thing ever. So yeah.
Anywhere in specific that you've gotten those from?
Well, one of my favorite ones, kind of sentimental, is actually in Seattle. Actually, it's there's one lingua taco spot next to a Shell gas station. I forget the name. I'll probably provide it in the links. In whatever description on any YouTube or Spotify, etc. But it's like this awesome kind of a hole in the wall type of place, like next to a Shell gas station, and it's really good because all the workers go there, for their lunch breaks. So definitely enjoy a good lingua taco and burrito.
That sounds good. I think for me, I'm so curious about who the White Sox are going to hire as their next manager. I think there were some false reports this weekend. Sports Illustrated, I'm calling your asses out. Put out there that Joe Espada was going to be named our manager, and I was like really excited about it because it just signaled a bit of change from a franchise. It's like a little bit stuck in its ways with hiring ex-players and stuff and all that, and being really anti-analytics. So Joe would have, not that I know that Joe's like bringing over this master of a mind, but he's from an organization that's housed AJ Hinch, Dusty Baker, a complete buzzer system that just worked wonders for the Astros in 2017. There were a lot of things that I thought Joe could have brought over. I mean, he speaks Spanish. He's younger. I just kind of felt like this was the kind of guy we could have in our clubhouse to really change like perspectives and bring some new energy to the executive staff, to ownership, just injecting some new fresh ideas. So that didn't actually work its way through. Quickly after seeing that report, there was another report that, hey, Ozzie Guillen got an interview, and I was just like, is this I don't know, is this the Twilight Zone, or am I actually in my own reality right now? Like, if Ozzie Guillen is hired as the White Sox manager, I don't know, man. I just like feel like we should just give up on this run. But all kidding aside, like, can he manage a baseball team? Like, yeah, I think he can. But is this the best hire for us in terms of like adapting to 21st century baseball and like trying to improve, trying to get better as an organization, trying to think the way that championship clubs and playoff contenders these days are thinking? I mean, there's no it's no surprise that every year the Rays, the Dodgers, it seems like the Astros nowadays, even teams like the Brewers and Indians are finding their way into the playoff mix with marginal talent sometimes. And it's like apart from the Dodgers and Astros, but it's like, what the hell? Like, what are they drinking? What are they doing? Like, don't you want to know? And you hire Ozzie Guillen. Maybe he's a good like motivator, but in the same sense, like, he's not going to bring like just insights I feel like that you need to like reform kind of a stale organization.
Yeah, no, I got excited about Joe Espada. And hey, if maybe that is like one thing, if there is like a report that the White Sox are going to get Joe Espada, and then the Astros go undefeated for the rest of the playoffs and everything, then bring him on. I feel like, right? Like, you kind of want that. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see who the White Sox get, and should be fun. It should be interesting, I should say. Maybe not as fun, but should be interesting.
Yeah. Definitely excited about off season, signings and, trades, anything else that can come from our team. But at this point, I'm kind of like just anxiously checking MLB trade rumors every, few seconds or whatever throughout the day, just kind of like reloading, refreshing just to see if something will pop. But I'll hold my breath until then. I have no other thoughts. Wayne, did you have anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. But I know it's kind of entering voting season and everything, so make sure y'all are registered and get out there and vote. So,
no doubt. All right. Well, with that, this has been the Ball and Breakfast podcast with Wayne and Patrick signing off.